All right, everyone, I want to talk a little bit about last night's homework. And I first want to talk about the normal distribution. The normal distribution shows the percent of people who fall above or below the average. So let's take a look. Let's first talk about the average. So the average is that center line. This is where most people sort of fall. So this is the average. So I'll put the average right here. Okay. This here is the average. It's sort of like the center point. And then each solid line represents one standard deviation. So this is one standard deviation above, one below, two standard deviations above, two below, three above, three below. Okay? So again, each solid line represents one standard deviation. That center line is the average. What's also important is these numbers here. These numbers tell us the percent of people who fall inside that standard deviation. So about 68% of people fall above and below one standard deviation from the average. About 95% of people fall between two above and two below the average, or two standard deviations above and below the average. And finally, about 99, almost 100% of people fall between three standard deviations above and below the average. Okay. This little Greek letter here, mu, means average. All right. So let's talk about the average height of kids is 4 feet 10 inches. So 4 feet 10 inches. So this is 4 feet 10 inches. Okay? With a standard deviation of 2 inches. So this here is 2 inches. So 4 feet 10 inches plus 2 inches gives me 5 feet. Okay? Let me use the same notation. Okay? So again, the average height of kids is 4 feet 10 inches with a standard deviation of 2 inches. Adding those, so 2 inches here is that first standard deviation. Adding those gives me 5 inches, or 5 feet. Oops. 5 feet. All right, so Boomerang's height restrictions is 5 feet. So anyone to the left of this first standard deviation cannot ride, but anyone on this side can. So anyone on this side can ride. Okay? Because Boomerang's height restrictions, you have to be above 5 feet, so anyone to the right of that first standard deviation can ride. So we have to figure out, well, what is that percent? What is the percent of kids who can do the ride? And there's different ways to do this. What I like to do is I will take the entire kid population, which is 100%, and I'm going to subtract 68%. Okay, 68% is this part right here. Let me do this actually. Okay, let me use purple. So this 68% is this right here. Okay? So 100 minus 68% is going to give me these two red areas. Does that make sense? So 100% is the entire thing. 68% is just the center part. Oops. Okay? So that's going to give me these two areas, but I only want this one area. Everything is symmetrical about the average. So in other words, everything looks the same here as it does here. So these two areas are the same. So if I subtract 68%, I'm going to be left with these two parts, but I only want this part here. Remember, this is the part that is 5 feet and greater, so I'm going to divide by 2. So 100% minus 68% is 32. 32 divided by 2 equals 16. Okay, now there's other ways to do this. Whoops. Let me do that again. So 100% is the entire area. 68% is just this part here. So that leaves me with these two areas. I only need this area here. So I'm going to divide by 2. That gives me 16%. There's other ways to do this. This is just one way. Hope it helps. Thanks.